Going on, chat? Just got done with some hooping again. Got some buckets today. Feel like I'm getting better, slightly better every time I hoop. Still not all that good, but still trying my best to get better. I'm looking ridiculous right now, but gonna read, hop in the shower, call it a good night. But without further ado, let's get into it. The major attributes of leadership. The following are important factors of leadership. Number 1, unwavering courage, based upon knowledge and self of one's occupation. No follower wishes to be dominated by a leader who lacks self-confidence and courage. No intelligent follower will be dominated by such a leader for very long. Number 2, self-control. People who cannot control themselves can never control others. Self-control sets a mighty example for one's followers, which the more intelligent will emulate. Number 3, a keen sense of justice. Without a sense of fairness and justice, no leader can command and retain the respect of his or her followers. Number 4, definitiveness of decision. People who waver in decision show that they are not sure of themselves. They cannot lead others successfully. Number 5, definitiveness of plans. The successful leader must plan the work and work the plan. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical defined plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. Sooner or later, it will land on the rocks. Number 6, the habit of doing more than paid for. One of the penalties of leadership is the necessity of the willingness upon the part of the leaders to do more than they require of their followers. Number 6, a pleasing personality. No Slovian, careless person can become a successful leader. Leadership calls for respect. Followers will not respect leaders who do not score highly on all factors of a pleasing personality. Number 8, sympathy and understanding. Successful leaders must be in sympathy with their followers. Moreover, they must understand them and their problems. Number 9, mastery of detail. Successful leadership calls for mastery of detail of the leader's position. Number 10, willingness to assume full responsibility. Successful leaders must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and shortcomings of their followers. If they try to shift this responsibility, they will not remain leaders. If followers make mistakes and become incompetent, it is the leader who has failed. Number 11, cooperation. Successful leaders must understand and apply the principles of cooperative effort and be able to induce followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. There are 2 forms of leadership. The first, and by far the most effective, is leadership by consent of and with the sympathy of the followers. The second is leadership by force, without the consent and sympathy of the followers. History is filled with evidence that leadership by force cannot endure. The downfall and disappearance of dictators and kings is significant. It means that people will not follow forced leadership indefinitely. The world has entered a new era of relationship between leaders and followers, which very clearly calls for new leaders and a new brand of leadership in business and industry. Those who belong to the old school of leadership by force must acquire an understanding of the new brand of leadership, cooperation, and be relegated to the rank and file of the followers. There is no other way out for them. The relationship of employer-employee or of leader and follower in the future will be one of mutual cooperation based upon equitable division of the profits of business. In the future, the relationship of employer and employee will be more like a partnership than it has been in the past. Hitler and Stalin are examples of leaders who ruled by force. Their leadership passed. People may follow the forced leadership temporarily, but they will not do so willingly. Leadership by consent of the followers is the only brand that can endure. The new brand of leadership will embrace the 11 attributes described earlier in this chapter, as well as some other factors. People who make these attributes the basis of their leadership will find abundant opportunity to lead in any walk of life. The 10 major causes of failure in leadership. We come now to the major faults of leaders who fail, because it is just as essential to know what to do as it is to know what to do. Because it is just as essential to know what not to do as it is to know what to do. Number one, inability to organize details. Efficient leader calls for ability to organize and to master details. No genuine leader is ever too busy to do anything which may be required as a leader. When a leader or follower is too busy to change plans or give attention to any emergency, it is an indication of inefficiency. The successful leader must be the master of all details connected with the position. That means, of course, that the habit of delegating details to capable lieutenants must be acquired. Number two, unwillingness to render humble service. Truly great leaders are willing, when occasion demands, to perform any sort of labor that they would ask another to perform. The greatest among ye shall be servant of all, is a truth that all able leaders observe and respect. Number three, expectation of pay for whatever they know instead of what they do with what they know. The world does not pay for what people know; it pays them for what they do or induce others to do. Fear of competition from followers. The leader who fears that one of his followers may take his position is practically sure to realize that fear sooner or later. Able leaders train understudies to whom they may delegate at will. Only in this way may leaders multiply themselves and prepare to be at many places and give attention to many things at one time. It is an eternal truth that people receive more pay for their ability to get others to perform than they would possibly earn by their own efforts. Effective leaders may, through knowledge of their job and the magnetism of their personalities, greatly increase the efficiency of others and induce them to render more service and better service than they could by themselves. Number five, lack of imagination. Without imagination, leaders are incapable of meeting emergencies and of creating plans by which to guide followers efficiently. Number six, selfishness. Leaders who claim all the honor for the work of their followers are sure to be met by resentment. Really great leaders claim none of the honors. They are content to see the honors go to their followers because they know that most people will work harder for commendation and recognition than they will for money alone. Number seven, intemperance. Followers do not respect an intemperate leader. Moreover, intemperance in any of its various forms destroy the endurance and the vitality of all who indulge in it. Number six, disloyalty. Perhaps this should have come at the head of the list. Leaders who are not loyal to their trust and to their associates, those above and below them, cannot long maintain their leadership. Disloyalty marks people as being less than the dust of the earth and brings down on their head the contempt they deserve. Lack of loyalty is one of the major causes of failure in every walk of life. Number nine, emphasis on the authority of leadership. Efficient leaders led by encouraging, not by trying to instill fear in the hearts of their followers. Leaders who try to impress followers with their authority come within the category of leadership through force. Real leaders have no need to advertise that fact except by their conduct, sympathy in understanding, fairness, and a demonstration of knowledge of the job. Number 10, emphasis of title. Contentment leaders require no title to gain the respect of their followers. Leaders who make too much of their title generally have little less to emphasize. The doors to the office of real leaders are open to all who wish to enter, and their working quarters are free from formality or ostentation. These are among the more common causes of failure in leadership. Any one of these faults is efficient to induce failure. Study the list carefully if you aspire to leadership, and make sure you are free of these faults. I'll take a pause there. I want to talk about two things from each thing that we just mentioned. One being the major attributes of leadership, and then the second one being the major causes of leadership, causes of failure in leadership. So one that stuck to mind was the number 6, the habit of doing more than paid for. To me, this kind of shows lead by example. Let's take an example for the restaurant. Let's say you're the owner of a restaurant. You're very busy being in the back, either managing expenses or dealing with vendors, or dealing with an issue with the kitchen, even with a customer complaint, whatever the case may be, but still having the time and energy to wipe down tables when, let's say, 2 of the busters that you have are very busy and they can't get to it. And I think that's by nature the owner of the restaurant. Let's say if there was a level of responsibilities, I feel like wiping down tables is not one of them. But what I take away from the habit of doing more than paid for is showing that lead by example. Or a better way, I forget the exact saying, but it's, I'm not going to tell somebody to wash the dishes if I'm not going to wash them. Or something along those lines. I don't know the exact quote, but it's something to do with that, right? So that's one of them. Another one is I was tossing between 2 of them, but I'm just gonna say number 9, mastery of detail. I think being a very thoughtful and intentional leader is very important, because that demonstrates that you have a vision, and that demonstrates to the other followers or other people in your team that we are all in this together, and you can see this blueprint, and within this blueprint you add value. And I think that's where the mastery of detail comes in handy. So yeah. One for the causes of failure. Where is it? I think it's the selfishness. Leaders who claim all the honor for the work of the followers are sure to be met by resentment. I think this is a really important one. I think of humbleness when I hear this, or better yet, even when this number 6 is being mentioned out, that they don't really care about the recognition. They don't really care for the money. They don't really care about the status. They care about who's gaining knowledge, who's gaining experiences, how people are growing within their team, or the followers, as this book is being mentioned. I think that shows a lot. And being selfishness and as a leadership position, I feel like is not very sustainable to other people, and it shows that it is a one-man team kind of thing. Another one is disloyalty. I think if you're not loyal to your people, if you're not loyal to yourself, your family, I think that shows the level of character, who you are as a person. And most importantly, you want to work for someone that's loyal. You want to work for someone that has your back, not only in a work environment, but on a personal level, right? Let's say you're having a really hard time at home and it's kind of reflected at work, but you're willing to have a conversation with somebody and say, or have a good conversation with your leader and say, hey, you're loyal enough to know what's going on, and I'm going to tell you this, and you know that I can put in great work, but please hear me out, kind of thing. So, yeah, I think these are some good, really insightful topics and of, leadership. So yeah, definitely will come back to this later in my life for sure, I feel like. So, yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys tomorrow. As always, have a good rest of your night.